tutti, come state? Today, for the most part, I'm going to be speaking to you in English. Questa volta parlerò di più in inglese. I was tagged by Felicia Follum, a YouTube friend, designer, and fellow language learner who recently posted a YouTube video on her channel in which she proposed and answered 11 questions that have to do with her language learning experience. She tagged me in her video and asked me to also create a video in which I responded to the same questions. So here goes. Adesso, tocca a me. Tag, I'm it. Risponderò alle domande di Felicia. Allora, partiamo. What is your native language? Well, qual è la tua madrelingua? My native language is English. Inglese, ovviamente. What was your first language learning experience? Qual è stata la tua prima esperienza di apprendimento di una lingua? Well, when I was 6, my family hosted a Chilean student. Her name was Gloria Ortega, and she lived with us for an entire year. During her stay with us, the entire family learned a smattering of Spanish words like yo tengo hambre, I'm hungry. And after all those years, that's the only phrase I remember in Spanish. The following year, my family visited Gloria's family in Coquimbo, Chile, south of Santiago. And even though I was really little and could only speak a few words in Spanish, I actually played quite well with Gloria's little sister, who was the same age as me. It just goes to show the language of mimicking and play acting is universal. What languages have you studied and why did you start them? Quali lingue hai studiato e perché hai deciso di imparare quelle lingue? I hail from a very, very small town in eastern Iowa, Mount Vernon, Iowa. My dad was a biology professor at Cornell College, and my high school's foreign language program was so small that it consisted only of 2 languages, German and Spanish. I took German really only because I loved the movie Sound of Music and had a crush on Captain Von Trapp, and I chose the name Liesel, the oldest daughter's name in the movie, as my German class name. I took 4 years of high school German and a semester of German in college and a semester of German in grad school, just enough to pass my master's program requirement. But all the while I studied German, I never really thought I had a talent for languages. And then one day I went to Italy. And again, I didn't think I had that much of a talent to learn languages or Italian. I went to Italy to study art and art history, and I was put into Italian 101. It was required of all the art students. But I often skipped class to go hang out in the city center by the Duomo to drink wine and go to the art galleries or the churches to look at all the art. And the first thing I did when I got home was to throw away my Italian dictionary. I never thought I would need it again. But then a few years later, after I got married and started a family and a design business, I became very nostalgic for Italy and the time I had spent there as a student. And the only way I could think of to reconnect with Italy was to start studying the language. It gave me something tangible and concrete to focus all my energy on rather than just wish I could go to Italy. But from that day, I haven't stopped learning Italian, and so my story continues. La prossima domanda, the next question. How does your personality affect how you learn languages? In che modo la tua personalità influisce come tu impari le lingue? Well, I'm a pretty determined person, and when I set out to do something, if I set a goal, I usually follow through and achieve it. Initially, I used to think I was kind of a shy person, but learning Italian has really made me realize that I'm really pretty social and a gregarious person. I discovered how fun it was to connect with people through speaking and writing Italian, and I didn't really see any language learning obstacles, or if there were obstacles, I found ways of turning them into language learning opportunities. So when I decided to start learning Italian, I just did it. No excuses. I had small kids, I had a full-time job, and really no tools or Italian teachers close by. I didn't let that stop me. I went to a local bookstore when there were physically bookstores you could go to, and I bought a grammar book and just started teaching myself grammar rules and vocabulary. Over time, I branched out to keep finding more and more interesting ways to absorb the language, to learn it. I took evening classes and online classes. On the internet, I found so many resources and ways to expose myself to the language that over the years I've made lots of Italian friends as well, and they have helped me tremendously And of course, I started the Studentessa Matta blog as a means to use the language every day and to keep pushing myself. I'm always looking for ways to push myself and try new things. Prossima domanda. Do you prefer learning languages in a class or individually? Preferisci l'apprendimento di una lingua in una classe o da solo? Nella mia casa sola. At first, I was really shy to open my mouth and spent an entire year learning on my own. But then I discovered how much fun it was really to interact with other people in a classroom situation. In a classroom, you get to know others who share interests, your same interests, in my case, Italian, and you make a lot of friends. And you have the benefit of listening to their questions and hearing conversation with a teacher, and I just think they're great benefits to both. What are your favorite language learning materials? Quali strumenti usi per l'apprendimento della lingua? At first, I loved grammar books that had quizzes and exercises that I could fill out. I used to work on those as if they were jigsaw puzzles or word puzzles. They challenged me, and I would do the exercises in the grammar books and then self-correct, find the answers at the back to see how I'd done. Then I moved on to language CDs like Penton Overseas, Learn in Your Car series. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I just love those, and I would listen to those all the time. And they really helped me master a lot of grammar tenses. Then I went out onto the internet, and it's really my favorite learning tool. Every day I'm discovering new sites, podcasts, Facebook pages, and YouTube channels and blogs. There are just so many ways to learn on the internet. I like Duolingo, Cyber Italian, Sgrammaticando, Learn Italian with Lucrezia, Lingually, and of course italki. The main thing for you to do is to make sure that you're having fun. If it isn't fun, switch to something else. I have lots of learning tips on the Studentessa Matta site, so drop on in and take a look at the learning tip page. How much time do you spend actively learning per day or week? Quanto tempo dedichi attivamente al giorno, una settimana all'apprendimento? Well, folks, for me, I spend quite a lot of time each day on learning and improving my Italian language skills. The more I learn, the more I realized I have more things to improve upon. Every day I create my version of an immersion experience. For instance, I begin my day by writing emails in Italian, posting on Facebook. I'm constantly composing letters in Italian to correspond with my Italian workshop partners in Italy in Italian. I listen, read, watch movies, I attend language meetups, and every week I have coffee with an Italian friend. So yes, the answer to that question is I spend lots of hours working on Italian each week. But I personally derive great pleasure out of this, and it's what keeps me going. Prossima domanda. What are your short-term and long-term language learning goals? Quali sono I tuoi obiettivi dell'apprendimento? Well, I'm working on my pronunciation, and of course all those pesky little prepositions that keep tripping me up. My goal is to make myself sound less American and more like an Italian madrelingua. What is your favorite language? Qual è la tua lingua preferita? Well, if you hadn't guessed, Italian, with English as a close second. What is the next language you want to learn? Qual è la prossima lingua che vuoi imparare? Well, I'm really all about Italian, so I'm not really planning on learning any other language soon or resuming my German language studies. It's not going to happen. So stay with me to learn Italian. What advice can you give new language learners? Che consiglio puoi dare ai principianti? Well, the mistakes I made at the beginning when I started learning Italian was to skip over that introductory paragraph in the grammar books that focus on pronunciation and learning how to make the proper sounds in Italian. I would say from the beginning, focus not only on grammar and vocabulary, but also on improving auditory skills and pronunciation skills. La pronuncia. I can't even say it in English. Anyway, also get out there and practice with someone. Don't try to make a go of it all on your own. Even if you live in the middle of Nowheresville with no Italian community anywhere around you, you can create an immersion experience. On the internet, there are so many resources to find chat buddies, watch films, movies, listen to podcasts, download books, and write messages on Facebook in Italian, write messages on Twitter in Italian. leave messages in Italian on my blog. I love getting messages on my blog, so come find me and leave a message. Be creative and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are your best friends, and the more you make them, it shows the more you are trying, and you will definitely be learning more in the long run. Sbagliando si impara. But most importantly, do something every single day. Don't just say you're going to start learning Italian or any language. Do something about it every day. Give yourself time, because languages are layers upon layers upon layers, and you forget stuff. So you have to keep re-upping and re-learning certain things and keep using your language. Fate qualcosa ogni giorno. Well, that's it. Thanks to Felicia for giving me the opportunity to respond to her language learning questions. Allora, let me know what your language learning experiences are. Ci sentiamo. A presto. Ciao.